Nerdbox.
There is something undeniably captivating about horror films. They tap into our primal fears, sending shivers down our spines and forcing us to peek under the bed at night. But for some, the allure goes beyond the initial fright. There's a strange magnetism to these characters and the worlds that they inhabit. And that fascination can sometimes manifest in a rather strange way. A fondness for the very toys inspired by these nightmares. We're talking about good guy dolls with killer grins, the pint-sized puppet armies with a taste for chaos, and the plush teddy bears with a hidden demonic streak.
Hey kids! Do you want a friend who will never leave your side? Introducing Chauncey the Bear! Chauncey can be anything you want him to be. He's part of your imagination, so he'll always be there when you need him the most. He'll follow you everywhere, and he'll never leave you. Never, ever. Never, ever. Never, ever.
Never.
These aren't just child cuddly companions, they're relics, reminders of thrills and chills we experienced in darkened theaters. But it's not just nostalgia. Horror merch is a badge of honor. It's a way for us to proclaim our allegiance to the genre, to the fraternity of Fright fans. It's a conversation starter, a way for us to bond with fellow horror aficionados and share our favorite nightmares and fright flicks. Welcome back to another episode of the Crypts. Thank you for joining me again. And on this episode, we are going to do something a little bit different. We are going to dive into the history of horror toys. Let's face it, I'm not the only one that has thought, I wonder what the first horror toy ever made was, and I wonder how damn expensive it is. Well, you'll be shocked to find out that it's less than $10. And it's been around for a very long time. So before we begin, this episode is brought to you by Raycon. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Don't forget to do the little YouTube stuff. Drop a like, drop a comment, and let's kick off this horror history. The early 1900s saw moviegoers captivated with horror with the debut of Universal Monsters, and it wouldn't be for another 30 years where these characters would be created by toy manufacturers in the 1960s. And while Dracula, the Mummy, and their Universal Picture buddies might seem like the OG horror toy box crew, but get this, spooky things existed way back in the mid-1800s. During the haunting Victorian era, little girls clamored for these tiny figurines, their dark hair and blood-red lips stark against porcelain skin as white as winter's night. Made from an icy smooth bisque, a kind of porcelain, these dolls were frozen in place, forever staring with their vacant eyes. Some even came nestled in miniature coffins. They were called Frozen Charlotte. But it wasn't because of some sweet story that Disney decided to make millions off of, but it was far more morbid than some dead parents drowning at sea. Like many of our twisted nursery rhymes that we sung as kids, these innocent toys from Germany and their arrival in the mid-1800s coincided perfectly with the cultural phenomenon of this morbid ballad. The tale goes that writer Seba Smith, the man who also gifted us with the word scrumptious, stumbled upon a newspaper story that sent shivers down his spine. It detailed the tragic demise of a young woman who froze to death in her carriage on the way to a ball. Inspiration struck, and Smith penned a poem titled A Corpse Going to a Ball in 1843. The verses painted a picture of a frosty night where a beautiful young woman named Charlotte refused to wear a cumbersome blanket over her fancy gown. When they finally reached their destination, her bundled up beau discovered Charlotte frozen solid in the sleigh. A stark reminder of vanity's very deadly price. The song, based on the poem, became a national hit, and an image of poor Charlotte forever ingrained itself in the American consciousness. Imagine the scene. America, 19th century. Folks crowd around a small market stall, their eyes widened at the sight of these new dolls. Hard, white bisque figures unlike anything they've seen before. The dolls had a haunting quality and a recent tragic ballad about a young woman named Charlotte who froze to death. It was fresh in everyone's minds. The connection seemed undeniable, so Frozen Charlottes became their name. They also were sometimes referred to as penny dolls because these eerie little figures were dirt cheap and only cost a penny. Millions were churned out, becoming a common sight in homes across the country. But their small size held another, more delightful secret. Mardi Gras king cakes featured hidden trinkets, often tiny baby dolls, that promised good luck. Frozen Charlottes, due to their popularity, were perfect for this purpose. They were tucked inside a cake, and they became a tasty surprise, a tiny doll bringing a touch of luck to whoever found it. Or maybe it was just a mouthful of blood. I would have to imagine biting into a bisque doll had some repercussions. These dolls were a strange but fascinating part of childhood. Imagine little girls back then clutching these penny dolls, tiny porcelain figures sculpted with wide eyes and forever closed mouths, some without any limbs. Despite the unsettling backstory, these dolls were affordable enough for children to save up for them with their own money. Today you can still find vintage Frozen Charlottes online, and because the dolls were made of porcelain, they have been able to survive the elements. Finding a Frozen Charlotte from centuries ago is not like striking the lottery today, being that they were mass produced, and it could be as simple as strolling through the woods, or maybe your kids digging up the dirt in the backyard where you come across somebody's lost childhood toy from decades ago or centuries ago. In fact, if you go online, you can purchase a lot of them for $15. Now, I think I would go ahead and add one of these to my collection, but it has to be the right kind of Frozen Charlotte doll. It has to come in a coffin, has to have some unique aging to it, maybe some limbs missing, because I think it's a great conversation piece to have in your collection. For example, in one of my cases here, if you saw the video of the tour, I have two rocks, and that is from the Exorcist film. One is from the steps that you see in the film, and one is from the outer wall of the actual house from the McNeils. So this is something cool to have. Do you own one? Let me know by dropping it in the comments. Or what is maybe the most unique thing that you have in your collection, or something that is very creepy and unique that you would not add to your collection? Drop that in the comments. As always, don't forget to drop a like, share the video around. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I know you hear it in every single video you watch on YouTube, but yes, believe me, it truly helps. A like, a comment just to say hello, and subscribing to the channel helps the algorithm push this out to others. As a horror film nerd, when I am looking to capture the thrills and chills of the movie theater experience at home, nothing is more important than setting the atmosphere with quality sound. And if I can't watch in my home theater because of the sounds of chainsaws and people screaming or waking up the neighbors and calling them to call the cops, I need a pair of earbuds that not only captures the experience but also picks up all the small details in the film that you will not hear with standard earbuds or headphones.
Showtime!
I know what you're thinking. You don't need to spend money on earbuds when you can go out there and get a $10 pair of earbuds. I was the same way. That is until I plugged in a pair of Raycons to listen to some music, and I was blown away from the immersive sound that only further highlighted what I was listening to. So I decided to put Raycon to the test, harking back to my Blockbuster and Best Buy days with the movie Joyride.
Girls, show them.
What are we supposed to show?
You're a fan of Cardi B, right?
Yeah. Is she here?
No, not the comedy from 2023, but the 2001 film about when two brothers go cross country to pick up a girl, but decide to play a prank on a random truck driver. But when that prank goes wrong and a man ends up dead, that truck driver ends up kidnapping the girl and sets a fatal trap where somebody is not walking out alive. You may have seen this film before, but did you truly experience the tension that is built up through sound? You wouldn't have if you didn't have quality speakers, and here are some of the things that you missed that you can put Raycon to the test for too. There are smaller sounds like the latch of a wooden door as it's opened. And then we see Venom pulling pins from her chair and dropping them on the carpet while struggling to free her hands from the tape. The sound of a gunshot echoing throughout the room. These are all little details that you cannot hear if you do not have a quality set of earbuds. These earbuds are sure to satisfy any audiophile looking to get lost in a viewing experience, or listening to music, or just being lazy and needing to answer a phone call instead of pulling out your phone from your pocket. Now don't tell Jen that I've switched away from her present that she got me last year of another brand's earbuds that cost almost 3 times the amount of these Raycons, but the comfort level, the ease of use, and the sound quality is perfect for me. And you can switch too by using the code NERDBOX in the link in the description below, and you'll get 15% off of your first pair of Raycons. So definitely go and check them out. Put them to the test. Try out Joyride. Try out War of the Worlds, the scene where we have the airplanes flying over the mountain. You'll be surprised on how great these actually are. Anyway, thanks once again for joining us for this episode of Crypts, and until the next, see ya.
That is the way you live. That is what we say.